Hello, welcome to the Ghost Pepper Lollipop, where the takes are spicy, the host is sweet, and we engage. Multiple things can be true at the same time and often are. I hope everyone is well today. How are you all doing? How is everyone? I hope you are good. Oh yeah, I forgot to give you all that link. I put it in the Discord, but not everyone is in our Discords. I really should get better about adding a thing onto. Ooh, hang on. I have an idea. I have an idea. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate y'all so much. I have my prompts up. I have the phone line up. So if anyone wants to call me and tell me why I am oh so incorrect about the prompts on the screen, you may do so at 720-927-6768, extension 800. No, I don't know why there's an extension. However, there is an extension. There is an extension. Live with it. It'll be fine. You'll love it. It's great. Oh my gravy. How come every time I open this site, his ridiculous face is in front of me? Ugh. Gross. Gross, y'all. All right. How is everyone today? Does anyone else just get like absolutely revolted when they see the elongated muskrat's face? Like, I don't, why does he think, I just, every time I see his like smudgy little pasty face, it's just like, I'm just like icked out. Like, just, it's just like incredibly icky. And he's always just out there putting his face all over the place like it. And doesn't he know that it's icky? So icky. Apparently I have a little snark. No, I did not. I did not. Good. He needs to get a settlement because that is absolutely absurd that they arrested him. That was a definite free speech violation. I mean, most people don't understand what an actual free speech violation is, and that, Maddie, was a definite free speech violation. By the way, if you are one of those people that thinks you know, but you don't actually know, me banning certain words here is not violating your free speech. I am a private person, and this is a private company. And while we don't want them to censor us too much because it normalizes censorship in our minds and allows us to manufacture consent for censorship elsewhere, that is not a free speech violation. However, if you post something and the police come and arrest you because you posted something, that is a free speech violation. That is the government taking away your right to free speech, and that is what the First Amendment protects you from. It needs to be more enforced, probably. I mean, I don't believe that we should allow too many. I mean, I think that a certain level of censorship, like, can help people self-police better, you know? So I think that and I would call that moderation more than censorship itself, but I would call like what some platforms are doing by making you unable to use certain words and things that are in the language of victims. And those are the ones that they come down the hardest on, is the words that victims use to describe the things that happen to them. Those are the ones that they're censoring the most. I think that we need to push back against that kind of behavior from any company or corporation. And I mean, one of the things, like, as much as people like to talk shit about Twitch, when everybody from the Twitch community takes it to social media and like takes it to Twitter and starts tagging Twitch will generally be like, okay, we fucking, yes, okay. I mean, that's how we got a lot of our protections. It's why Purple Team has home training and most of the other platforms cannot claim the same. Oh yeah, no, it is very steep, Maddie. It is very steep. And I think that more people should read the laws and then have them translated, because that's the other thing. They use this language, this like old English language, to muddy it and confuse it, because the law as we do it in America is a game. It is like it's like chess or charades, or I mean, it's probably a bunch of games mixed together. Anyway, it's a strategy game, okay? And you're only allowed to play this game if you're a professional. If you're not a professional, there are all kinds of penalties. So if you don't have an assigned uniform and all of the credentials assigned to you, they will put all kinds of roadblocks and penalties up in your way and make it harder for you to play the game. But it's very much run like a game, and with winners and losers and etc. It's not really just or equitable. Jim Crow definitely lives on within that game, but most people don't understand that one of the reasons why they keep writing the laws in that disgusting language that we haven't used for 200 years is so that regular people don't understand the laws they are held to obey. And another thing most people don't understand is lack of knowledge or understanding of the law is not a defense against the law. You can't be like, well, I didn't know, I didn't understand the law. That's not a defense. You can't use that as a defense. It's not a defense. So, you really should normalize reading the law and gaining an understanding for it, or better yet, lobbying to change it and make them bring all of the legal language up to today and translate all laws that are currently still laws and statutes that are currently on the books into layman's English. And you would have to very specifically call it layman's English, because they will try to weasel their way around and be, but legalese is, and no, fuck your legalese. You should not be able to word things to where you can entrap people. Fuck off. Yeah, no, that's actually yeah. John Curacao said it. We write laws intentionally so you qualify for multiple felonies per day. Then they can arrest you whenever they want. That's accurate. That's accurate. Hey, thank you for streaking over here. Welcome in, Crystal. Yep, so normalizing reading the law and understanding what it actually says is beneficial to the health of your human rights, because if you do not stretch them, you do not exercise them, you probably won't be able to keep them. And they are proving that every day. They keep taking rights left, right, and center. And I will tell you, gentlemen, if they can take my rights to my body, they can take your rights to yours. Just saying. So, today is a call-in show. I am here to listen and have a discussion. Facilitate a conversation, if you will. If you would like to tell me why I am oh so incorrect about any of the prompts listed upon the screen, you can call in at 720-927-6768, extension 800. I would change that if I could. However, there is an extension. It is extension 800. Very much, Maddie. If they can do it in Gaza, they can do it here, and they keep doing it here. They've never stopped. It's illegal for us to do in Gaza as well. Yes, it is. They have also never stopped. They're still doing acts of genocide. They're putting people in glitter fucking concentration camps and feeding them worms. as we speak right now, and telling them that if they don't eat those worms, then they can starve. They're charging people $38 for a case of water, a thing that is a case of clean water, a thing you must have to survive. Because we have a for-profit prison system, and our concentration camps are a for-profit system. That's terrifying, and that's terrifying. They want to kill me. Trump's counterterrorism directive from this month says anybody pro-transgender will be killed by the government. They want to kill me. Thank you, Tails. I appreciate you. Yeah, y'all go click like over on the YouTubes if you don't mind. That would be very awesome of you. You click like on the YouTubes, maybe click the share. All you have to do is copy the link. You don't even have to paste it anywhere. If you really want to paste it somewhere, you can paste it back in here. I won't mind. I don't mind. Yeah, it's pretty horrifying how quickly they're taking our rights and how far in the program they are. They're over 50% of the way through their intention. So they intend to strip us of our rights, and they're 53% of the way through, I think was the last I read. And this weekend, I think it was, this last weekend, they had that right-wing religious Mormon summit thing, and they were saying all of the quiet parts out loud there. They want to take divorce away by having young people, when they get married, do prenuptial agreements where they sign away the right to divorce unless it's on biblical grounds. That's one of the things that got kind of publicized this weekend on that front. There's a few other things, but they really are. Somehow we got the handbook for Project 2025. They wrote down what they want to do, and we got copies of it, and everybody was like, it can't happen here, they can't do that here. And guess what? They're doing that here. They are over halfway through their agenda. They will start killing us. Just because they haven't killed many of us yet doesn't mean they haven't started. They're having you manufacture consent for them to murder us. That's what they're doing. Every one of these things you sit there and allow to pass manufactures consent for them to kill us. And if you think the world would not be boring if everybody was the same, then you are a puddle of weird that I'm not sure how to deal with. Oh no, Tails. Oh goodness, I hope everything ends up okay with your tortoise. Oh, that has to be so scary. Yeah, they never said they would stop it, and they're not stopping it. I mean, let's be really real. They're not. They never intended to. The other side suffered a narcissistic injury, because let's be real, we don't have a left-wing party. We have two right-wing parties. Actually, we have one party with two factions is more like what we have. And the Democrats are like the abusive nice guy husband, while he's gonna look good and like project that he's the good nice guy. He's the one he's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He's still going to abuse you and harm you. He's just going to use neoliberal talking points to make it look like it was your fault he did it. Now, they suffered a narcissistic injury because the society didn't choose the lesser of two evils, and so they want you to know that you should have made a better choice. You should have chosen their level of abuse, because they may abuse you, but they won't abuse you as bad as the right wing. You see how that circle jerk works? Hey, Kaya. Huggies. Good to see you. Y'all are the awesomest. I love my purple team. Yes, but you should look at the Project 2025 trackers. They're over 50% of the way through. Oh no, an ear infection? Boo. Boo. You're corrupted by bacterium. Ick. Hopefully it goes away soon. Well, if that's all you needed to make it go away, then go you win. The mellower the thing you need, the better it is for all of us. Because that means that amoxicillin is still effective. I do have content in case nobody calls that we can talk about. We can keep going on our religious psychosis discussion, which, by the way, again, disclaimer, is not a real diagnosis. That while that's what we will call it colloquially, it would be a delusion disorder, either schizophrenic delusion disorder or narcissistic delusion disorder, based upon all the research I have, which I should put that in the description box for yesterday and today over on the red side. I will have to do that later after my doctor's appointment. Let me write myself a note because I have been actually doing my to-do list notes. So if I write myself a quick little note, that will remind me to put that in there, and then I will not forget this. And then tomorrow will be another live due to it being easier for me. I'm finding that on some weeks where I have incredibly high pain and I've had a hard time dealing with it, that it's just easier for me to do lives because I've been a live streamer for 6 years and I can follow an outline. So there will be weeks that we just do Fridays live now, and it will hopefully reduce my stress and help me balance this shit better. All right, let's see. I still have to do that QR code, the link tree, and then add. All right, so I have a note now, and I will write those. Write those links, or well, it's a bunch of links. I will add all of my research links into the red team description box when I get back from the doctor. And later tonight, I'm actually going to be on with another Transcend Media member, Chop It Up, over at Little Dragon Lee's. Let me get this. Oh, wait, that's wrong. Hang on. No, that's the wrong one. Hang on, I did that wrong. Why is my, okay, my command must be too long because it's not popping Little Dragon yet. Let me double check this command real quick. I think it has to do with the length of it. And maybe if I can adjust the length of it, then I will also, if I send it in like two, maybe I will also be able to make it so that it'll be easier to copy into my other chats. So let me check this. It's the length. Okay, let's see. Let me do it this way. And then I will have it send two announcements instead of one announcement. And then add a second announcement. That is why it wasn't sending the links properly. So we have this now. And I guess announcements are fine. There we go. Save it, and then let me drop it again and see if the fix took. It did not drop both of them. Why is it only dropping the one? That is weird. That's weird. It should do. Wait, what if I put a delay between the two? Hang on, I have an idea. If I put a delay between the two, maybe then it will do both. Maybe it's just upset that I'm trying to add too much. All right, let's see. Sometimes this bot confused me. I get most of it, but sometimes it will be something like this where it's just not letting me freaking do what I want to do. Okay, this is Frustration Nation. I know what I'm gonna do to fix it though. I think I have an idea. If I switch it to a message in chat instead of an announcement, then I think I can do the two and not have this issue. Sorry about taking the moments to fix the bot. However, you can still call in. I will still answer it. 720-927-6768. If you disagree with any of the prompts upon the screen, you can tell me why you think that I am just not correct. I will listen. I will have a discussion. You can tell me why you think that Glob is the nicest guy ever. Because I think he's an asshole. Personally, I mean, I just think he's an asshole. I mean, it don't matter if he's real or not. He's a dick. All right, let me delete these extra sub actions. No, you can't. You just gotta delete. Holy, delete. It did not like that. Okay. No. Oh, I almost made it do a thing that I would have been so upset at myself for. Holy. I almost had it delete all sub actions, y'all. Do you know what a mess that would fucking be? Okay, why won't you do two fucking messages, you freaking ass face? Why is it not? I know I've gotten it to do more than one message before. I know I have. Hang on. So many frustrations. So many frustrations. All right. This. Try again. If not, I'm gonna deal with it later. But I'm gonna try. You son of a biscuit eater. You son of a biscuit eater. Why doesn't it work? I know I've made it work just fine to do multiple messages before. We have the glitter fucking be right back message, and it does multiples. Hang on. What if? Hang on. I have a weird idea. I have the strangest of ideas. Wait. Change it from. Oh, biscuits. Okay. I don't know what I did. I just dropped it. I had it and then I dropped it. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let me put this into. Now let's see if it'll do the thing. Oh, fuck off. Oh, no, it did! Oh, it did! No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Damn it! Well, y'all, I don't know why it won't work. I will have to play with it later. Because apparently I am doing something incredibly not right. But I don't know what it is. And it is taking me a while to figure that out, and that's just probably ridiculous. It is probably not. Oh no, really scary? Oh, that's terrible. Is he on here? On our side? That's sad. That would be devastating for me. Oh goodness. Yeah, I don't know how to deal. I don't know how I would deal with that if they were just if they were unreasonable. Really? Okay, hang on. Click it, click it. You got to do the follows. Okay, let me hit the follow. But he's not really engaging in his chat. There. All the no house training freaking chatters. All right. That's try. He does. They do notice it. They do notice the people spamming the chat with gross. Oh my goodness, he's talking about used to being a rapper. His Nani song is everything. The Nani song is everything. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. I can't sit there and listen to that. I'm doing my own stream. See, you make me go squirrel. Oh, that's that. Yeah, I don't think I could stay in there very long myself. Scary. That was quite a lot. Quite a lot. They do, I don't know. They do think that they can just do anything. It's really weird how these like racists and supremacists just go to abuse and they think that that's just I don't know. I don't know why it's appealing to them. I don't understand that about abusive people. I don't understand how being abusive is appealing. I don't get it. All right. I understand being reactive. Like I that I get. Like I've been reactive. Like that makes sense to me. I just do not understand the rest. All right. Oh, this one's a fast read. Okay, I found another one. But I don't know. Wait, let me try this one. I was reading this one. Don't want to do that one. Hang on. I'm deciding which one. Oh no, it was this one that we were doing. Okay. Okay, we can continue from here. So, where we left off in our discussion was the narcissistic cycle of abuse. And this, we are relating it to when those tendencies are doing harm. Right. Let me get us the ability to see the reference, because that is helpful for some people. Some people like to be able to see the reference. So here we go. Here's the reference. I have a reference available for us. So the narcissistic cycle of abuse involves 4 phases: idealization, devaluation, discard, hoover, and then back to idealization. Remember, you can end the reading at any time by calling in about any of the prompts or about the discussion at hand. 720-927-6768 extension 800 if you would like to have a discussion. So narcissists typically start with idealization They put you on a pedestal, so it feels like they think you're perfect, and during this phase, they love bomb you. They simulate a feeling of closeness quickly, and they perform grand gestures, sweeping you off your feet. They may write you poetry, ask you away for a romantic weekend, or even overly compliment you to make you feel special, which, in my experience, it's the over complimenting, and like the gifts and things are early and then they disappear. The gifts just disappear. Like, you may get this, the very first Valentine's Day will be just this magnificent thing, and there's all these gifts and things, and then the rest of them are just a day that happens. In time, they start to devalue you. They push you off a pedestal and begin to mistreat you. This can be traumatic if you're the victim, and you may find yourself scrambling, feeling desperate to win the narcissist back. And this is one of the reasons, because of the way that it internalizes for the victim and the harm that that can do, because we have this very victim blamey, shamey society cycle. This is one of the reasons why I absolutely despise Christianity, and also the fact that a lot of these social media organizations are specifically censoring the words that victims use to describe what happened to them. Rape, as an example, we have to call it grape, or the algorithm censors us and silences us. It doesn't always happen, but oftentimes the narcissist will hoover. This is when they decide they want you back. They may send flowers or promise that things will be different this time. Narcissists can be very convincing, but if you take them back, the cycle will start again. After a period of love bombing and idealization, the narcissist will devalue you again. Reconciling with a narcissist can cause you to trauma bond with them, making it even harder to break the cycle. Yes, and then if they decide to drop you, it just it is catastrophic for your entire world, your worldview, and etc., because you have spent so much of your time and energy navigating their emotions and making yourself what they need you to be, that you lose who you are. Being aware of the narcissistic cycle of abuse can aid you in making the necessary choices to break away sooner rather than later. And it takes a while to be able to break away, because you do make these excuses for the people you care about oftentimes, and anyone that you put on a pedestal, you'll make excuses for, and you just have to stop the cycle of doing that. We want to assign people the morals and ethics that we think they should have. We just do it. We're habited to it, and those that we care about, in order to keep the peace, we're habited to not hold them accountable. So we have a normalization and a society of abuse cycles with no resolution and no accountability. We do not have a just or equitable or accountable society. Even our prison and judicial system is not just. It is not about justice. It is not about remedying the problems. It's just lock people up so that they can make money off of those bodies. Yes. Well, we will do either, Maddie, we will either project our own morality and ethics, or morality and ethics superior to ours on them. So we will give them the grace of being better people than even ourselves. That's what a lot of Trump supporters do with Trump. Even though he's a bad person, he shows them all the time. They assign the morals and ethics they wish he had, the morals and ethics that a person in his position should have. So no matter what he does, no matter how much he shows them that he hates them, that he disrespects them, that he has no not a decent bone in his body, they will still say that he does and make excuse after excuse after excuse. And they can't give you proof that he does. They just feel like he does. because they are assigning the morals and ethics they feel like he should have to him, even though he hasn't earned that or shown that that is who he is. This is one of those times when we have to remember to believe people when they tell us and show us who they are, even when it hurts, even when it sucks. And sometimes you can remedy a lot of things with like honest communication and boundaries. If you know what to do with you when somebody does something that crosses a line for you, then you have a much easier situation, because you can balance yourself and how long you want to be in or around a certain situation. You can decide based on what discussion you have with yourself whether or not you want to participate in a relationship with that person, or if you want to have sort of a diet relationship, and etc., etc., etc. A lot of times when psychologically abused children leave their parental homes, they have to make a decision about how much of a distance they need to love their parents from. And so we as a society sort of have to do that every day as well, just with each other and with problematic people in general. And humans as a species, we're kind of problematic, especially in this society, because we don't do accountability well. We haven't made accountability safe. Everybody's afraid they're going to be ejected from society or locked up and thrown away the key, because that is what we've shown them happens when you're in the wrong or make a mistake or fuck up. And we need to normalize self-policing of behavior and reconciling with and correcting the issues that cause behaviors that are problematic for society and for that person, rather than just locking them up and making money off of them while they sit and become worse people because they're in a violent homosocial situation. If we had more of a restorative justice system where we were more worried about solving the problems, not only in society, but within the people, we wouldn't need these prisons and things the way they exist. Now, there's always going to be those people that we can't help and we can't trust. And so there would probably have to be some sort of ethical and caring long-term care facility that protected society from them and them from harming themselves at post our carceral system. But we really have to look at revamping our entire carceral system, because as it is, it simply perpetuates the cycle. It's the Ouroboros eating ass because it's ass flavored over and over and over and over and over again ad nauseum. And then the rich just keep making money off of the bodies they put in those systems. Now, there are certain spiritual principles that are exploited by narcissistic or grandiose leader types, the type of, or abuser types. And often it is your spiritual leaders or your cardinals, your priests, and etc. There are several spiritual or religious principles that are commonly exploited by narcissists or that keep victims in an abusive situation longer. This can include weaponized forgiveness, weaponized repentance, anti-divorce beliefs, weaponized ideas about prayer, strict systems of hierarchy, or fear of the afterlife, among others. Now, earlier we were discussing, before I got started with all three streams, we were discussing some of the things, or I think maybe at the beginning of this one, how the right wing in the church, in their efforts to fulfill Project 2025, they've come up with a way to make it so that people can't get divorced. And what they want to do is weaponize the prenuptial agreement Yeah, weaponize the prenuptial agreement. So as it stands, they've always stood against prenuptial agreements and decided that they didn't want those because then women can take things from men, and they don't want that because they know that they're going to act shitty. And so, you know, they don't want to have to sign something that says they have to be accountable for that. Ew. Now what they want to do is put into those agreements that you cannot get a divorce unless there are biblical reasons, which is just a way to keep women in abusive relationships, because abuse, being physically harmed, is not a biblical reason for divorce. One of the most common religious principles that narcissistic abusers exploit is forgiveness. If you feel inclined to forgive your abuser, that doesn't mean you have to take them back. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not interchangeable. Narcissists don't change, and if you take one back, the abuse restarts in time. I can tell you this from experience, and it's almost always progressively worse. It just gets progressively worse and worse and worse the more often you take them back. And it takes an abuse victim an average of 8 times to leave. And the day you leave is the most dangerous day of your life. So do have good support and a sly plan ready for the day you leave, because that is the day they're going to try to hurt you most often. Now, this is an important aspect of the spiritual weaponization of forgiveness. They begin with their origin story, and as to like the links to which forgiveness has to be on one side than the other. I'm not saying that well. Sorry, y'all. I have a great deal of physical pain today, and so my brain is a little foggy. Just give me 1 second. I will get the words for this. Because it's about obedience for them, and forgiveness is just accepting that they're going to continue to abuse you while remaining silent and complacent with it. And that is taught in the very origin of their story. Sky Daddy makes this garden, and he puts the only 2 people he ever created. Somehow they go out and mate with others. But anyway, puts the only 2 people ever created in this garden and says, obey me. If you eat from this tree, you're gonna die. And when they eat from the tree, they don't die, but they didn't obey him, but they didn't understand why they shouldn't eat from the tree. And he then says, well, now after you leave this planet, I'm going to burn you for all of eternity, and then I'm going to punish every one of your ancestors for all of eternity because you ate this, because you disobeyed me. And in order to forgive you, I'm going to have to rape a child, make her carry a baby through to term, watch him grow, and then I'm going to have her watch him be tortured and murdered. But don't worry, I'm going to let him be like rise from the dead 3 days later. And then he can come live with me. But that's the links that forgiveness. So they're well trained in weaponizing forgiveness. It comes from the very literature that most of them use to manipulate and coerce people as it is. Yes, and the I love you after that. God really loves you. He's an all-loving God. He's so all-loving that he raped a 13-year-old and tortured a kid in front of her. That's how he says he loves you. You know? You're somebody you never met ate something that she was told not to, and so, you know, you can never be forgiven for that. That was a heinous crime. Why don't you understand what a heinous crime that was, you dirty heathen? It's fucking wild, these people. The pretzeling they have to do to believe the stuff they believe is wild. Some religions teach that if a person repents to God, they are completely forgiven of any committed sins. In faiths like this, narcissistic abusers often put on performative repentance while offering no restitution to the victim. And then the victim is expected to put the matter behind them, lest they be regarded as the sinner. The cycle of abuse will start again. And that's where the training to always victim shame and victim blame comes in. It's written into the religious literature even. Many religious people are against divorce. This creates a situation where abused spouses outstay marriages with entitled, abusive narcissists. Oftentimes, victims in religious institutions are told to pray that their narcissistic abuser changes. For this reason, victims stay in abusive relationships, expecting Glob to perform a miracle. Sometimes years, even decades, pass by with a victim desperately praying, but narcissists don't change. Because in order to change, the person has to go and face the mirror. They have to go and face their internal self. And if you're asking some external glob to do the work for them, you're not going to get very far. Many religious systems are based on authoritarian or strict hierarchical orders, the umbrella of hierarchy. One example is a gender-based hierarchy. Narcissists may exploit their position in a hierarchy to gain power, gain control, or mask inappropriate behavior. In religions that believe in heaven and hell, victims may remain silent because they are taught that standing up for themselves or standing up to the religious group can damn their souls. I was literally told to stop asking questions when I was 8 because I was going to hell. When they kicked me out of church school, they literally told me I was going to hell, that I was going to burn in hell, and that I was just unhelpable, unfixable. That was done to an 8-year-old autistic person simply because I couldn't just believe. Because you don't get a choice in whether or not you believe. You're either convinced or you're not. And I couldn't be convinced by something that breaks its own rules. I've been told that too, Maddie. Yeah, you all gotta tell one guy your secrets and he can forgive you. If you just tell him all the secrets that you have and confess it to him, he can forgive you. But no other way can you be forgiven. If you find yourself, and that's just one of the 40,000 faiths. Like, there are 40,000 of them. How do I know that that one's the right one? Because there's another one that says that if you just sit on your knees and tell Glob what you did and that you're real sorry, that he'll forgive you. And then there's another one that says that I have to take a whip and beat myself several times a day, and that's how I get forgiven. And then there's the other one that says I should cut myself several times a day to be forgiven. Which one of the 40,000 is right? And why is yours the right one? 720-927-6768, extension 800. If you find yourself feeling trapped by religious principles, it is okay to question your beliefs. Ask yourself why such beliefs came about and who is benefiting from them. This doesn't mean that you have to abandon your belief system altogether if you don't want to. You can choose to reframe the areas that have been harmful to you. Now you can. And during deconstruction, that is often a helpful way for people to get through it. Because regardless of how snarky I get, I understand that it is deeply painful to have to deconstruct from these very damaging, very controlling faiths. These things get in your system when you're very young. They groom you from the time that you are just a child to believe in this imaginary being, and that if you don't, all manner of awful things will happen to you. And that gets stuck in you because they're convincing you this as a child, and you will believe you when you tell you things, and you tend to repeat what the adults have said to you to yourself when you're a child. child, so you believe you. And so it's going to be painful and it's going to be hard to unpack these things. And if you need help doing that, I have put a link in the description, in the chat boxes. It is Recovering from Religion. They have therapists on hand, they have call-in lines, they have group therapies, they have all kinds of ways to help you work through those really, really painful and difficult aspects that religion put in you that are hard to deconstruct. And if you need to deconstruct slowly, if you need to reframe things to get through to get through your deconstruction process, that is an entirely natural way to do that. And if you need help, please go get help. Just get help. This society can suck an elf. They are the ones that made it so that you need help. They don't get to tell you that you are shameful for going and seeking it out. It is stronger to ask for help. As weird as that sounds, it is not a weak thing to do, especially with how this society shames and shades and tells you not to. That should tell you that it is the stronger thing to do. So don't try to unpack this alone if it is hurting you. Go get yourself some help. You are worth it. You deserve to be able to have the full experience of your life, and get you some help to make sure that you get that. All right. Now, there is an impact to religious narcissistic abuse. I need more coffee for a second. Oh, there we go. Somebody call in. That way we can have a back and forth and I can have breaks between. Like if you call in to talk about one of these prompts, or if you just want to talk about religion in general, 720-927-6768, extension 800. Or we can talk about the bog of homosocial stench. We can talk about how you learn to swim in more socialized or more more pansocial waters. Words are hard. Holy. Evie, hello. How are you? So good to see you. Welcome in, welcome in. Oh, we literally have one more hour, chat. One more. That's all I got. I have to stop at 4 p.m. Mountain because I have to go and see the doctor about this arthritis stuff. So you have 1 hour to call in. If you want to have a discussion about this stuff, you got to call 720-927-6768, extension 800. All right. The impact of religious narcissistic abuse. Because it does have an impact, and it is not a pretty impact. The impact of religious narcissistic abuse is far-reaching. Victims are affected socially, psychologically, spiritually, physically, and financially. Socially, victims may find themselves isolated or having difficulty making and maintaining relationships. They may have increased social anxiety or find it difficult to trust people. Victims may also experience a loss of personal identity and severe self-doubt after being gaslighted for so long. They may find themselves more susceptible to falling for the next narcissistic abuser. And understand that narcissistic abusers seek out people that they know will be good victims for them. They know how to find and target people. It is not your fault if you fall for this kind of thing. That is not your fault. That is on the abuser that knows the type of victim they prefer. They know who to assault and how to assault. And when they're doing that initial love bombing and stuff, they are very, very much learning you. They're very much learning how you work so that they know how best to manipulate you. That is not your fault. Don't you ever believe anybody that tells you you should have chose better or whatever. They are experts. They are good at what they do, and they are deliberate at it. That is not on you. That is on them. Thank you so much, Evie. I appreciate you giving the sub. And they weaponize the fact that they are one of the only free third spaces left. Capitalism and the capitalists did that intentionally. because they can control people through the church. And if they make all other third spaces financially unviable for people, or time unviable, or etc., then they can control people more easily. They take away our third spaces so that they send us to churches so that we can be abused and controlled. That is where they assign your leash and collar. Take back your third spaces. Take back your block parties. Throw a block party. Get to know your neighbors. Grow some vegetables along your fence. Start a conversation. Go to your library. If you are in Colorado, go to your library's makerspace. There are amazing communities at the makerspace. My kid and I go to the makerspace all the time. In fact, we're going again. We went the other day. We're going again Saturday. Go and engage at your library's makerspace. If you want third spaces, you are going to have to take them and make them. If you want something, when this system collapses, and it is collapsing, you need to build those structures now. Build the things you want to rely on when everything collapses. Build your community within your area. Build your food growing systems. Build now. Build the structures and the scaffolding to hold up what comes next, and do it now, because this system is falling. Many victims, due to prolonged trauma, suffer from complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or CPTSD. There are a few ways you can get CPTSD. I am a CPTSD. Symptoms include nightmares, hypervigilance, intrusive thoughts, flashbacks, and other painful symptoms. Some of them actually physically fucking painful. It is common for victims to experience depression and anxiety. Survivors can find themselves experiencing brain fog, which y'all see sometimes, which is a clouding of consciousness and an inability to concentrate. I also have ADHD, which does not make it easier. I am autistic with ADHD and I have CPTSD, and so it can look really fucking weird. And like sometimes I'll catastrophize things, and there are different fun aspects to CPTSD. And the way that CPTSD works with like autism and ADHD is sometimes wild. Sometimes it's like somebody has hijacked my brain and I'm just like, ugh. And other times it's like my brain is itching and I can't scratch it. Anyway, I love my ranting. Furthermore, abuse from religious systems may make a person more susceptible to mental health issues such as religious delusion or religious OCD. Now, religious delusion is a false, rigid belief related to religion or spirituality that is not shared by others and significantly impairs a person's ability to function or relate to reality. It typically shows up in mental illnesses like schizophrenia, mania, or psychotic depression. Religious OCD, also known as scrupulosity, is a form of obsessive-compulsive disorder where a person becomes intensely and irrationally preoccupied with religious or moral issues. It's a debilitating mental health condition rooted in anxiety and intrusive thoughts. If you suffer from mental health disorders, it is of urgent importance to seek mental health care from licensed professionals. Church or pastoral counseling does not replace mental health care. It does not. And I want you to look at the pinned comment that is recovering from religion. They can connect you with actual mental health therapists, actual people that can help you through this. Some of these issues and why we're discussing them is because we have to break the stigma. We have to discuss this honestly. We have to stop turning Moses or Jesus or whoever is on the street corner preaching at us into our lovely neighborhood cryptid and start getting him help, because unfortunately for him, what is happening is there are some very damaging brain chemicals swimming around his brain and clouding his ability to see things clearly. And just by coddling him and handing him money and saying, "Oh, thank you for the blessing, Father," you are enabling that. You are preventing him from going and getting the help he so desperately needs, and you are preventing him from being able to come back to his family. Do not build cryptids of people that need help. That is an infantilizing, dehumanizing, disgusting act that I hate about this society. This idea that you are not allowed to talk about politics or religion because it's rude to discuss people's beliefs, even when their beliefs are incredibly damaging, is heinous, disgusting, and why we are facing such a loss of rights right now. We are facing a loss of human rights. And I'm telling you, gentlemen, if they can take my rights away, they can take yours. Survivors of narcissistic abuse often have a harsh inner critic. It is the voice that criticizes you, puts you down, and calls you names. And every time that little asshole speaks, you need to tell him to shut the fuck up and then say 2 nice things about yourself. Different ones throughout the day. You will believe you. So you tell you things, you replace that voice, you build the habit of saying something good to you when that voice rears its head. Your subconscious will pick up that habit. And then that voice will be told to fuck off before it can even hurt you. Build the habit. I mean, that is actually fact, Maddie. They're already taking our rights, just not your privilege. That is actual fact. All right. Okay, this is the voice of the abuser that the victim internalizes over time. The harsh inner critics of survivors of religious abuse often tell them that they are dirty, sinful, or irredeemable. Though the inner critic is a liar, it feels real. Religious narcissistic abuse may lead to a victim wrongly believing they are inherently flawed, damned, or being punished by God. Because of my abuses, I did believe that I was worthless. I hated myself. And when I had to face that in the mirror, when I had to come face to face with why do you hate you, I didn't have a good reason. I hated me because people told me to hate me. I hated me because other people acted like I was trash and I thought there had to be a valid reason for it. Because otherwise, why would they do it? I didn't actually think it through. I didn't actually take a look at that. But when I did, that's what I found. I was just believing it because other people were so insecure and inhumane that they treated me poorly because they couldn't be bothered to be decent. I was a child. I did not deserve to be shot at. I did not deserve to have my head cracked open. I did not deserve to be bruised from the back of my skull down to my hips. I didn't deserve any of that. It happened, but I didn't deserve it. But I believed I did because it happened so often. Because nobody ever came to save me. I believed it. I believed there was something just wrong with me. That's the danger of these religions. They tell you that you're a sinner at birth, that you're just wrong. Coming out of the womb, you're just fucked up. And you start believing that. You internalize that. That's why it's so deeply harmful, so deeply damaging. It's why it's so important that we have these places like Recovering from Religion, which is pinned in the chat. If you need help, seek them out. ED societal benefits, innate societal benefits that others don't receive. So there is what I would call let's see, that one's not going to be a good example. I'm having pain, so I'm having brain fog and stuff, so give me just a second and I will get you an example. So sorry, my brain just went nope. Damn it. Hang on. I'm usually pretty good at getting these examples pretty quick, analogies and stuff. My brain is just on overload, but that's okay. I am going to the doctor and they're gonna manage it, so it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fine. I'm just having a little bit of issue. Oh, there we go. My brain brought it back up. Okay, so you know that sometimes I use a wheelchair, right? So privilege is that some days I don't have to use the wheelchair. Privilege is that even though I use a wheelchair, I can go to places that other wheelchair users can't use because sometimes I don't need the wheelchair. That's privilege. It's possible you don't understand privilege because you haven't come face to face with any innate privileges, or just because it hasn't been the discussion, or because you're neurodivergent. I don't know. There's many reasons why you wouldn't understand privilege. Also, it's just not something that like has been discussed openly until the last few years. And it's an important discussion for us to have, because then we can understand how we engage with the systems around us and things. But yeah, privilege exists in many, many ways. Like, white privilege is just being assumed that if you're a white woman, you're just assumed to be a good person. Especially if you're an old white woman. They just assume you to be a good little old grandma type without even talking to you. That's privilege. White women, especially old white women, are just assumed to be the sweet little grandma types, whether they behave as such or not. And even when they don't behave as such, they'll often be treated as such. That's privilege. Make sense? Cool. All right. Now, one of the things that we don't often discuss, and that we need to more often discuss, but the reason we don't discuss it is the stigmatization of mental illness. They like to blame the victim, because if you blame the victim, you do not have to hold the abuser accountable. Let me repeat that. If you blame the victim, you do not have to hold the abuser accountable, okay? So, prolonged narcissistic abuse can even lead to illness in the body. It can disable a person. Many survivors experience chronic illness, mysterious illness, and autoimmune conditions. I have traumatic disability. It fucking sucks. And it's real. It is not uncommon for survivors to experience financial hardship. The mental health impact of abuse can interfere with a person's ability to work or perform on a job. Capitalism is unnatural as hell, and when you are already traumatized, it is very fucking traumatizing. Even more so to be told you do not deserve to eat or have a roof because you are hurt and damaged and disabled. It really sucks to be told you don't deserve to live because this system or somebody else fucked you up. That really sucks. The cost of a long-winded divorce with a narcissist can be devastating. In more extreme cases, victims may have been convinced to give large amounts of money, even life savings, to televangelists or cult leaders with a promise of God's blessings. The blessings don't come, and the victim ends up broke. If you have fallen victim, know that it is not your fault. Nonetheless, the severity of the consequences of religious narcissistic abuse make it all the more necessary and urgent to be informed of the signs and red flags of this dangerous dynamic. And repeat that to yourself. It is not your fault that you have the trauma you have. You didn't give you that. And you deserve help unpacking it. You didn't put it there. It didn't get there by itself. And to heal it, it's probably going to need a little help to heal it too. It needed help to be put there. It probably needs a little help to be removed. It's not your fault it's there. You didn't put it there. Somebody else shoved that down your throat. Somebody else made you carry that weight. Somebody else assigned you that, not you. You get to decide what you want to carry. And if you are carrying somebody else's weight, go get help. Have it lifted off of you and return to sender. You do not need to carry somebody else's weight. That is not your responsibility. This is your life. Your responsibility is to you and your community. Your responsibility is to you and your society and how you show up for you and those around you so that you can have your best experience. Because you're the only one that gets to have your experience. And we are the coolest species on the planet. We actually get to have like a conscious sentient experience. We are nature experiencing herself and we get to know about it. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I mean, if you need a way of thinking about it, that's kind of a cool way. None of us are any bigger or smaller than anybody else. We're all just people. We're all just here trying to have an experience, trying to figure out what it is to exist here with each other. And we happen to be a social species. That is how we evolved. We evolved to need each other. And that's cool. That's okay. It's okay to need each other. That's why capitalism is so unnatural. It tells you not to need each other. And you are part of a social species. You literally need each other from your base core of your existence. Think about that. How wild that is, that this system and these people are telling you to not rely on each other, to fear each other, telling you all of these divides that you're supposed to hold in place so that you can stay away from each other, so that they can keep controlling you and pulling your leash around. And you belong to a social species. All those divisions are entirely unnatural. You don't see dog breeds hating each other because of the type of breed they are. They all think they're just dogs. Some just smell nicer than others. All right. How to break free from religious narcissistic abuse. 1. Click the Recovering from Religion link that is pinned in all of the chats. Get yourself the resources that on hand that are available to you and be ready to use them. You deserve resources. You deserve your best experience. Don't let anybody take that from you. They can all go suck a elf. This is your life. You get to live it your way. Trying to talk to a narcissistic abuser about the harm they cause you doesn't do much good, since they're unable to put themselves in your shoes and will most likely play the victim. So if you do need to get something off your chest and you need to say something to your narcissistic abuser, your best bet is to write it in a letter and never expect any result or closure from it. Just get it off your chest. Treat it like a journal. It may be triggering and you may find yourself getting emotional, losing control of your reactions, or behaving in ways that make you appear as the bad one. Reconciliation with a narcissistic person or group is not a realistic expectation. Also, they are very good at pushing buttons to cause reactions and what they call reactive abuse, which is just reaction. Narcissists are incredibly good at pushing buttons that cause you to have a reaction. And when we're in trauma, especially, we aren't really good at recognizing the difference between reaction and response. I didn't even know there was a fucking difference. I thought those words were synonyms before therapy. They're not synonyms. There is a difference between reaction and response. I was so used to abusers poking and poking and poking and trying to make me look crazy so that they could look like fucking perfect little victim faces that I didn't even understand there was difference between reaction and response. Well, there is a difference. Learning that difference and treating yourself well and getting yourself from reaction to response before you lash out or do something you're gonna hate yourself for is a superpower, and you deserve that superpower. Make sure that you get the help to go get yourself that superpower, because just because some asshole wants to feel superior and have control over you does not mean he is entitled to it. And you can take that power back. You can take that control back. It's just building habits. It's weird. It is so weird how our brains will believe us, and our brains are the coolest machines. Learn how to program your brain. Learn how to program your brain for your best experience. Hugs, Evie. That is hard when the person that's supposed to protect and love you is the one that tears you down and hurts you. That is hard. I know that. I have CPTSD. I have childhood complex PTSD. So I get it. It is really hard. And then you're left with these wounds that make you sometimes difficult for others. Or me. They made me sometimes difficult for others. I'm also very neurodivergent, so that probably adds to the me being difficult for others thing. And also, we internalize the need to please because we're so used to having to manage the emotions of the people that are abusing us. We're supposed to manage their emotions so that they don't hurt us because they blame us for them hurting us. And so we learn to constantly be managing their emotions. And so we come out always trying to manage everybody's emotions. Always. We're always trying to navigate and feel everybody's emotions around us. And it can be overwhelming for some people. And we have a very loud and active danger center, and it gets overactive. Mine especially with PTSD. Yes, people pleasing, and it can be toxic people pleasing. Never forget that. But my danger center, the thing that picks up patterns and says, danger, danger, Will Robinson, mine's always going off. It's going off at unreasonable times. I'm in a car driving down the road. My partner drives beautifully. My partner is an amazing driver. And yet she internalizes, am I doing good enough? Am I an okay driver? Because I am such a bad passenger. Because of my CPTSD, I am so hard to be in a car with because I'm always tense. I'm always afraid that we're gonna wreck. I'm always afraid of a car being too close to us, or us being too close to something, or da 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 da. And that is CPTSD. That is trauma. And then there are intrusive thoughts to it, like you imagine like a car doing something or etc. But I am a terrible passenger. I am the worst passenger in a car. I am uncomfortable to ride in a vehicle with because I'm so panicked. I'm so afraid all of the time. And that's CPTSD. And I do a lot of therapy and I manage it pretty well, and I do better and better, and I actively work on it. So I'm a little easier sometimes than I am other times, but it depends on the cycle that I'm in as well. And my poor partner, she has to deal with that, and she's just so amazing and wonderful, and she's an excellent driver. I'm not even just saying that to like, she really is an excellent driver. I feel so guilty for the fact that she ends up feeling like she's not sometimes, but it's just me. It's just me. You're a good driver. You're a really good driver. I'm not even like just saying that to gas you up. You actually are. I mean, remember what that mechanic guy said about you driving the truck with the freaking steering column like busted? Like, no, you're a fucking good driver, babe. You really are. Okay, so the most effective way to break out of the cycle of narcissistic abuse is by going no contact. This means cutting off all communication. This includes in-person communication, calls, texts, DMs, emails, and any other mode of communication. It also means not following them on social media, not asking mutual friends about them. Completely gone. Eliminate from your life if you are able. And if you need help doing that, get help doing that. You're a whole person. You belong to a social species. You're allowed to need help. It's natural for you to need help. You belong to a social species. Yeah, I don't take any of those things anymore. So, and they don't even like to give them out anymore, but I don't take those things anymore. So I just push through it. But sometimes you can't go no contact. For example, if you are co-parenting with a narcissistic abuser, in that case, it is helpful to go low contact. This means engaging in limited communication with them and only discussing what is completely necessary. In some cases, communication may occur solely through lawyers. Some narcissists will try to, if you disappoint them, cut off full communication and do other abusive things, which we can discuss another time. If you are stuck communicating with your narcissist, that is a terrible phrasing. If you are stuck communicating with the narcissistic abuser in your life, it is important to respond, not react. Now, this is where it's important for you to give yourself the time to learn the difference between react and respond. Abusers will often push, poke to make you react. And they'll get you to where you're used to reacting and you don't understand anymore how to get in touch with yourself and work your way to response. Response is thought out. It is deliberate. It is intentional. Reaction is spur of the moment. It's feely. It's not thought out. It's emotional. You see how that's different? Give yourself time to get through the emotional reaction part. Give yourself time. When you feel that knee-jerk defensive feeling, take it to the mirror first. Give yourself that. Because that way you can take yourself from that reactive moment. And even if it was a shitty thing and you do need to address it with their behavior or whatever, you still will do it more responsively. You will still be more secure and confident in how you manage it. Give yourself that gift. That's something you give you to learn the difference between reaction and response and take yourself from reactive to responsive. That was so hard for me to learn. It was so hard for me to understand the difference between the two. And natural with CPTSD, it's natural for me to not get that. And being autistic as well and seeing like people reacting all the time. And I mean, we even have a whole like societal thing for reacting, and people love like being rage baited and etc. So it's very hard when you're in a trauma situation or you're neurodivergent or you're a neurodivergent traumatized person to understand the difference between reaction and response. Give yourself the time to learn that difference. And then when you learn that difference, give yourself the time to go from your reactive self to your responsive self. That takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of patience. It takes a little bit of self-care, but you are worth it. You deserve every good experience, and you can give you that. So do so. Narcissists have a way of saying things that are so unnerving that you may find yourself losing emotional control and becoming reactive. This is a part of the abuse and is a form of narcissistic supply. It's like a meal for them. They need to eat, and they eat your pain. Some of them eat fear. It is also destabilizing for the victim. Be prepared to respond with the fewest number of words possible and the lowest level of emotion possible. This helps you remain calm as you disempower the narcissist. So that is where you take the time. You feel that defensive thing, you feel it. And you take note of it, and then you take it to the mirror and you unpack it for a minute. And you say, why do I feel defensive at this? Why did that poke me? What upset me about what they just said? What's the best way that I can respond to this without giving them any part of me? Because every time you give them a part of you, you are feeding that inner beast of theirs and telling them that you're going to keep feeding them. And they will keep eating of you until either they're bored with you, they've found somebody else, or you have upset their system too much. You can also gray rock. That means you respond in ways that are as boring and bland as a gray rock. In time, Your narcissist may get bored or tired and look for better supply. Now, there is another method that has been coming up in therapy discussion circles lately that I've seen. Well, it was a couple of years ago that I first saw it, actually. And it is firewalling. So you can gray rock, which is becoming as boring in your responses and your emotional give as a gray rock, or you can firewall. You can let certain things in if you have to deal with a person and keep other things out. Works like a computer firewall. You set up whatever within you, whatever levels of communication and stuff that you can handle. You set up your firewall to let certain things through, block other things. And it's sort of a boundary system you set up within yourself. It's sort of an interesting way to think of it. Due to the trauma caused by narcissistic abuse, it is important to find a therapist who understands narcissism and abuse. This is vital. You have to ask if they are trauma informed and if they understand abuse and narcissism. You are allowed to interview doctors. You are allowed to make sure the fit is right for you. You are allowed to fire a therapist that is not a good fit for you. You are having to work on the deepest, innermost parts of your psyche. You need to be comfortable with the person you're doing that work with. It is okay and perfectly acceptable for you to make sure that that person fits you. That is a right you have. It is okay to exercise that right. Having friends that you can trust and talk to can make a big difference. This may be difficult at first, but with continued healing, you'll meet the right people. Also, if we're talking about religious narcissistic abuse, recovering from religion, it's pinned in all of the chats. They have therapists that they can refer you to. They have therapists on staff. They have 24-hour call-in lines to help you work through emergency situations and stuff. They are there for you to help you unpack this, to help you get through this, and to help you be a survivor. And remember, you have survived every one of your worst days. You can get through this one too. Ultimately, the greatest weapon you have against narcissistic abuse is knowing yourself and owning your reality. Focus on yourself. It is not selfish. Reacquaint yourself with the things you like and enjoy. Engage in self-care. Reignite your hobbies and interests or pursue them for the first time. Reject the things that don't serve you. Walk away from people, situations, and relationships that cause you stress, anxiety, or harm. Focus your time and attention on the people, environments, and relationships that bring you joy and peace. And do these things unapologetically. When we set the example that we need to see, oftentimes we find others that need to see that example as well and start following it. Go forward and set the example you need to see. The one that is going to help you heal and be your best self, because you deserve to live your best life. You don't deserve to be reliant upon somebody else's idea of what is good and right. You have your own subjective experience of what is good and right, and you are allowed to dictate what is good and right for you. We made it through that. Woohoo! It only took us 2 days to make it through it. Let's see. We only have 25 minutes left. If anyone would like to call in and discuss any of the prompts on the screen, 720-927-6768, extension 800. I am trying to see if there was anything else, or if I just want to go hang out with some music. Let me see real quick. Oh, okay, this was the other part of it. Okay, we'll go ahead and read this last little bit to close out this. And do remember, if you need to talk to somebody and you need help, talk to somebody and get help. You deserve that. You are a whole person. You deserve that. You are from a social species. You need other people. It is okay. Oh my goodness, Gravy. Thank you so much, Evie. Holy. Yak okay for the bitties. Okay. Psychosis, delusions, and personality disorders. And this is, remember, we're talking about in relation to religious delusions and such, because that is what we're discussing. We're discussing the danger of that. We're going to destigmatize it. We're going to help people stop self-abusing with that and know that they can go get help, and we're going to help them find those resources. That is the name of the game. As a society, we have to learn to come together. We have to bridge all of those divides, and this is part of it. Whether people want to acknowledge it or not, because you've been told, don't talk about politics and religion, it's rude. It is not rude to help a person that is being harmed. And it is not rude to discuss something that is harmful to many, many people. In fact, it is imperative that we do. That is how we heal the wounds. That is how we remedy the harm. All right, let me get this one, so that you all that do need a visual can have a visual. There we go. There's your visual. All right. The summary. Psychosis is a result of severely impaired reality tests where the patient cannot tell inner fantasy from outside reality. Psychotic micro-episodes are common in certain personality disorders, most notably in borderline and schizotypical personality disorders, but also in narcissistic personality disorders. Delusions are entrenched and very hard to eradicate, while hallucinations are merely a sensory perception that has a compelling sense of reality of a true perception, but that occurs without external stimulation of the relevant sensory organs. Hallucinations are common in schizophrenia, affective disorders, and mental health disorders with organic origins. They're saying that delusions and hallucinations are not necessarily the same. Oh, I'm glad to have the discussion. I just want to be able to help people. It can be so harmful. We have this tendency to turn people that really need help either into laughing stocks or cryptids and stuff in our society, and that's so deeply harmful. We're a social species, and we're the only species on this planet that has all of these weird social divides against each other. It's weird, and we have to resolve that if we want to survive as a species. So I am glad that I have done enough of the mental health work that I can handle having the conversations. And I wish for that for all of you, because the hard conversations and being able to sit in discomfort and have these hard conversations is so important to our being able to heal these wounds. And the more safe places where we can do that and practice that, the better off we are. So I am glad that I can facilitate that. All right. So this author is Sam Vaknin, the author of Malignant Self-Love, Narcissism Revisited. Psychosis is chaotic thinking that is the result of severely impaired reality tests. The patient cannot tell inner fantasy from outside reality. Some psychotic states are short-lived and transient. They call them micro-episodes. These last from a few hours to a few days and are sometimes reactions to stress. Psychotic micro-episodes are common in certain personality disorders, most notably in borderline and schizotypal personality disorders, but also in narcissistic personality disorders. Persistent psychosis are a fixture of the patient's mental life and manifest for months or years. These are not micro episodes, these are full-fledged diseases, and oftentimes they come with overwhelming brain chemicals that are toxic to the person's very consciousness. Our consciousness can be affected by outside influences. Our consciousness can be affected by age. Our consciousness can be affected by being hit in the head. Our experience of life can be affected by a myriad of things. And when there are these psychotic episodes and things, particularly with these spiritual people that believe they're Jesus or Moses and etc., oftentimes with that comes a flooding of really toxic brain chemicals. And if we can get those people help and get them on the path to proper medication, diet, whatever it is that they particularly need for their psychosis, if we can do that early and quick, they can usually come back. They can usually come back to their full consciousness, their full sentience, their full selves. However, there is an aspect, there is a time crunch with this, with those brain chemicals. When it's those brain chemicals at play, there's a time crunch. If you don't get to them and get them help in a certain amount of time, they can't come back. They'll never be the same person again. They become somebody else. Those brain chemicals change their very consciousness. So this is why it's so important that we have these discussions. This is why it's so important that we break these stigmas. And instead of going and turning somebody into a cryptid, we are like, hey, y'all, that is somebody that needs help. We should get them some help. That way they have a chance of being their selves again, their whole selves again. Oh yeah, no, it's scary. There are so many different levels. It is a spectrum. Narcissism is a spectrum. And I said it earlier, and I will say it again, that we are here to break stigmas. It is a mental health disorder. This is not something somebody did. This is not something somebody did intentionally. Yes, there are many narcissists that are abusive and harmful to others. And there are some narcissists that just don't know. They just don't understand. They just shut off their feelings because it hurt too much, because they were abused too long. So this is a spectrum. Mental health disorders and mental health illnesses and things are a spectrum. And no matter which part of the spectrum they are on, they need help. We have a very punishing carceral mindset about all things, and that is something that we have to break in ourselves. If we want to heal these things, we have to be looking at healing them and breaking the stigmas around them. And thank you so much for making sure to point that out again, Scary. I think it's a very good thing to say again. So I'm going to go ahead and read this as well. For the purposes of avoiding ableism, and narcissistic personality disorder is often caused by trauma, and not all people with NPD are abusive or malignant. There are different types. Some more insidious types, some more abusive types, some less abusive types. If we break the stigmas and we start facilitating a social accountability and healing cycle and normalization of that, then it won't be as stigmatized. There is so much hope. There's hope for everyone. Yes, for Evie. Yes, there's hope. If you want a good example of somebody who's doing the work to unpack narcissism, I want you to go look up somebody called Mental Healness or Lee Hammond. Here, let me type it in chat for you. This is a person that is actually out here giving good information on narcissistic personality disorder from the perspective of somebody who was diagnosed as a narcissist, who is a so-called self-aware narcissist. And he will give very good information. I'm going to be entirely honest with y'all. CPTSD can look very harmful sometimes. We can be just as harmful as a narcissist when we have CPTSD, especially if we're being toxic people pleasers. There is just as much harm that I can do as a person with CPTSD. There is harm I have done as a person with CPTSD. I had to become a safe person. I was not always a safe person because of my CPTSD. I didn't get that way on my own. I didn't put that in me. I didn't do that to me. And I was still the one with the responsibility to go get help and figure it out. And I did, thankfully. And not everybody has the ability to see that, hey, I need to do that. Some people have to be pushed or driven into help. I definitely had to be pushed and driven into it myself. But it is a spectrum. It is a spectrum, and people across all spectrums can be harmful. There are no perfect people. There are no perfect victims. There are no perfect aggressors. Yes. Oh, I love everything you're saying, Scary. Goodness gravy, you're doing this so well. Yeah, there is. Honestly, it's just the disorder itself causes a unique inability to realize anything is wrong with you. They tend to think everyone in the world is secretly just like them. Yep. So they tend to project onto others. They will assume that you are like them, and so they will project onto you. I'll flat out admit that my association with multiple toxic people and placating, enabling them made it easier to victimize other people. I do always try my hardest to expose people once I learn they are abusive, but that usually results in everyone taking the abuser's side. Yes, because you are being the cycle breaker then. When you are placating and enabling, then you are part of the cycle and they love it. They love it. The cycle is cycling. The ass-flavored ass is being eaten. It is wonderful. It is delicious. They love it. As soon as you become the cycle breaker, you are the problem. It is why oftentimes people will call it drama or blame the person that calls out the racist rather than the racist. They'll say that the person that's calling out the racist made it a problem or made it all about race, because they're ignoring whatever dog whistle or awful thing that the racist just did or said. I mean, that is fair, Scary. And it is hard to reason with, though, because you want them to do better than you did for multiple reasons. And so there's that whole like FOMO cycle to that, at least in my experience. Okay. Now, persistent psychosis are a fixture of the patient's mental life and manifest for months or years. These are not micro episodes. These are full-fledged diseases, and these are the ones that usually come with the toxic brain chemicals, the really dangerous brain chemicals. These are the people that think they're Moses. These are the people that think they're Jesus. These are the people that think they're Mary Magdalene. These are the people that think their children have been possessed. Psychotics are fully aware of events and people out there. They cannot, however, separate data and experiences originating in the outside world from information generated by internal mental processes. Think of an internal echo chamber within yourself. The inside and outside blur into one. They confuse the external universe with their inner emotions, cognitions, perceptions, fears, expectations, and representations. Similarly, patients suffering from narcissistic personality disorder, to a lesser extent antisocial and histrionic personality disorders, fail to grasp other people as full-fledged entities. They regard even their nearest and dearest as kind of cardboard cutouts, two-dimensional representations, intrograms, or symbols. They treat people as instruments of gratification, functional, autonoma, or extensions of themselves. People are meals. They're means to an end. They aren't real to these people. They can't fully see them, and they may often have like a sense of there may be object permanence things, people permanence, like if you're there you're more real than when you're not there, sort of thing. That can also happen in a spectrum of other mental health things as well. All right, I only have 10 minutes, y'all, so let me get through this. To them, people are functions, near functions, nothing else. This is why a lot of men can objectify women and treat women like wet holes. Consequently, both psychotics and people with personality disorders have a distorted view of reality, and they are not rational. No amount of objective evidence can cause these people to doubt or reject their hypothesis and convictions. We call it confirmation bias. Full-fledged psychosis involves conflicts and even bizarre delusions, and the unwillingness to confront and consider contrary data or information. This is important. We have this whole situation where a part of our society is having some issues with this. All of MAGA is having an issue with this right now. They're all having a hard time coming in line with what is actually happening, accepting the new factual information and letting go the things that they were taught to fear and feel bad about. Psychotics are preoccupied with the subjective rather than with the objective. Thought becomes utterly disorganized and fantastic. There's a thin line separating non-psychotic from psychotic perception and ideation. Now, it is important to note that our entire experience as humans is subjective. We can have no other experience. We can have no objective experience. Because subjective is within the brain and objective is outside of a brain. All of our experiences are subjective. All of our experiences are within here. On this spectrum, we also find the schizotypal and the paranoid personality disorder. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual defines psychosis as restricted to delusions or prominent hallucinations, with the hallucinations occurring in the absence of insight into the psychological nature. So what are delusions? What are hallucinations? And in which way are they distinct? A delusion is a false belief based on incorrect inference about external reality that is firmly sustained despite what almost everyone else believes, and despite what constitutes incontrovertible and obvious proof of evidence to the contrary. So delusions are entrenched and very hard to eradicate. Excuse me, y'all, my throat keeps doing that thing. A hallucination is merely a sensory perception that has a compelling sense of reality, of a true perception, but that occurs without external stimulation of the relevant sensory organs. A delusion is therefore a belief, an idea, or a conviction firmly held despite abundant information to the contrary. The partial or complete loss of reality test is the first indication of a psychotic state or episode. Consider the person that actually believes that they are Jesus reincarnated. Beliefs, ideas, or convictions shared by other people, members of the same collective, are not strictly speaking delusions, although they may be hallmarks of what we called a share psychosis or mass psychosis, which is kind of what we can attribute to MAGA. There are many types of delusions. There are paranoid delusions. Paranoid delusion is the belief that one is being controlled or persecuted by stealth powers and conspiracies. This is common in the paranoid, antisocial, narcissistic, borderline, avoidant, and dependent personality disorders. Then we have the grandiose magical delusions, the conviction that one is important, omnipotent, omniscient, possessed of occult powers, or as an historical figure. This kind of megalomania, as it is used to be called in the 19th century, is typical of narcissists. These are the ones that go into churches and, you know, do the things that we saw in that video a few months ago. Then we have referential delusions, formerly known as ideas of reference. That is the belief that external, objective events carry hidden or coded messages, or that one is the subject of discussion, dissection, derision, or opprobrium, even by total strangers. This is common in the avoidant, schizoid, schizotypical, narcissistic, and borderline personality disorders. This is the one where you think everybody hates you for no reason. Again, hallucinations are not delusions. Delusions are fast perceptions based on false sensory Hallucinations are fast perceptions based on false sensory input, not triggered by any external event or entity. It's that thing you see out of the corner of your eye. The patient is usually not psychotic. The patient with hallucinations is not psychotic. He is aware that what he sees, smells, feels, or hears is not there. Still, some psychotic states are accompanied by hallucinations. In the famous case of formication, feeling that bugs are crawling all over one's skin, that's an example of an hallucination which accompanies psychotic states. That one is terrifying to me. Similarly, there are a few classes of hallucinations. We have auditory hallucinations, the false perception of voices and sounds such as buzzing, humming, range of transmissions, whispering, motor noises, and so on. We have gustatory hallucinations, the false perception of tastes. We have olfactory hallucinations, the false perception of smells and sounds, burning flesh, candles. Somatic hallucinations, the false perception of processes and events that are happening inside the body or to the body. For instance, piercing objects, electricity running through one's extremities. Somatic hallucinations are usually supported by an appropriate and relevant delusional intent. We have tactile hallucinations, the false sensation of being touched or crawled upon, that events and processes are taking place under one's skin. This is usually supported by an appropriate and relevant delusional content as well. Then we have visual hallucinations. They are the most common. The false perception of objects, people, or events in broad daylight or in an illuminated environment with eyes wide open. Hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations are images, trains of events experienced while falling asleep or waking up. No hallucinations. These are not hallucinations in the strict sense of the word, but they are closed. I didn't understand that sentence. Okay. Hallucinations are common in schizophrenia, affective disorders, and mental health disorders with organic origins. Hallucinations are also common in drug and alcohol withdrawal and among substance abuse, but they're not common among people with personality as well. I don't know what that meant as either. That's weird. All right. We have made it through our discussion on religious psychosis, and I will make sure that after I get back from the doctor, I put all of these links that I used, not only for the discussions that we had, but also that I just used for research and the like, in the YouTube description for today and yesterday. And I have to get myself going. I have to go to the doctor, as I have told y'all. I'm going to go and get my pain management begun. I'm hoping to be able to see them about maybe some steroid injections or something. I don't really want to take medication. So I'm going to send the Twitch over to our loveliest, most friend-shaped Vitingale, because that is the best place to send you to go for today. And I will see you all. Hopefully you come to Lil Dragonly's. I'm hoping that I'm back by 5:30. If not, I'll be back by 6. But I will be over at Little Dragonly's at Chop It Up. Please click the follow, go find Lil Dragonly, and come hang out with us. I will see you beautiful people later. Please do that thing you do. Every time you think or say a bad thing about you, you say 2 good things out loud. Every time. Be good to you. You're the only you you're gonna get. You're the only person that's been with you from the moment you gain consciousness, and you're the only one that'll be there when you lose it. Treat yourself well. I'll see y'all later. Thank you so much for being here. You're the best.